Welcome back to another Astromatcher video in which we look at the romantic relationship of couples from an astrological perspective. In today's video we are going to fulfill a request by one of our subscribers, Sandy Blonde One, who has been asking about the relationship of Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. So let's jump right into it with a short introduction of the two. On the left you can see Kurt Russell, who is an American actor that began acting at the age of 12. In the late 1960s he signed a 10-year contract with the Walt Disney Company, after which he starred in many of their movies and became famous. An interesting fact is that Kurt was also a minor league baseball player in the 1970s, but he had to retire due to an injury, after which he focused fully on acting. He's best known for starring in Western, action and horror movies like The Hateful Eight and Escape from New York and The Thing. He has been nominated for 1 Golden Globe and 1 Primetime Emmy Award so far. On the right you can see Goldie Hawn, who is an American actress who rose to fame through an NBC sketch comedy program in the late 1960s. She's best known for starring in comedies and won 1 Academy Award in 1970 for Best Actress in a Supporting Role in the movie Cactus Flower. An interesting fact is that Goldie was a professional ballet dancer before she became an actress. She is also the founder of the Hawn Foundation, which focuses on the education of unprivileged children. Kurt and Goldie first met while filming in 1967, but became involved after reconnecting on the set of the movie Swing Shift. They have been in a relationship since Valentine's Day of 1983, which means that in 2023 they celebrated 40 years of being together. They have 1 son together named Wyatt, who was born in 1986. Kurt has 1 additional kid from a previous marriage, and Goldie has 2 children from a previous marriage. In 2000 and again in 2004, it was reported that Kurt and Goldie were on the verge of breaking up, but they are still together as of today. However, they haven't married yet and have no plans on doing so either. Goldie has revealed that she has no plans to marry Kurt, stating that she would have been long divorced if she had been married to him. Kurt also revealed that he and Goldie never felt the need to marry, stating that a marriage certificate wasn't going to create anything that otherwise we wouldn't have. Next, we are going to take a look at their personalities separately from an astrological perspective, before we finally look at how well they match for a long-term romantic relationship. Let's start with Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell was born on the 17th of March in 1951 at 10:42 before noon in Springfield, Massachusetts in the USA. This makes him a Pisces, born in the week of Dancers and Dreamers. And the 17th of March is called the Day of the Irrealist. The Pisces zodiac is feeling-oriented and spiritual. Pisces 3 people are philosophical, helpful, and ineffectual. Those born on the 17th of March live exciting lives taken up with the recurring themes of flying, music, movies, and travel. They are capable of losing themselves in an activity, and they are never happier if that activity is a social cause. But March 17th people must learn to pursue activities consistently instead of jumping from one activity to the next. This can be quite difficult for them, as they value all which is fresh and new in the world. Now let's take a look at Goldie Hawn. Goldie Hawn was born on the 21st of November in 1945 at 9:20 before noon in Washington, D.C. in the USA. This makes her a Scorpio, born at the cusp of revolution. And the 21st of November is called the Day of Elegance. The Scorpio zodiac is feeling-oriented and rather controlling. Scorpio-Sagittarius cusp people are loyal, gutsy, and wild individuals. Those born on the 21st of November have a feeling for natural grace and elegance. They are very interested in what is most up to date in society and have little time for old-fashioned thinking. But they still see the value in old techniques and often find themselves on the cutting edge of traditions. Early in life, they tend to show self-destructive rebelliousness, which can lead to damaging mistakes. But before we look at how well Kurt and Goldie match for a long-term relationship, here is a brief reminder that you can go to our website astromatch.com to get a free astrological rating for your own relationships. But now let's get back to Kurt's and Goldie's synastry. Here you can see the synastry of Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn, which we are going to analyze. Like we used to, we first are going to take a look at their ascendant interaspects, which indicate immediate attraction between the two people's personalities. One of the interaspects that stand out is this ascendant to ascendant opposition. This also means a mutual ascendant to descendant conjunction that you can see here on the left, once and twice. This is one of the most beneficial interaspects to have in a synastry. It indicates that the other person gives you the feeling that he or she is exactly what you are missing. This is therefore a very strong indicator for attraction. Another very beneficial interaspect is this ascendant to moon conjunction, which means that the moon person, in this case Goldie, feels emotionally in line with the outward personality of Kurt. However, here on the right you can see two disharmonious interaspects that offset the beneficial aspects that I have just mentioned. Namely, we have a Sun to ascendant square, that is a quite strong and unbeneficial aspect, and you also have a Mercury to ascendant square as well. So I would say that attraction is definitely there between the two, but not only in a harmonious way. Next, let's move on to their sun positions. Here you can see a trine, which in traditional astrology is a rather weak but nevertheless harmonious interaspect. But as you can see, I highlighted this cell with red background color, indicating disharmony. The reason for this is that according to Gary Goldschneider's zodiac period system that Astro is using, the Pisces 3 and Scorpio Sagittarius combination is bad for a long-term romantic relationship. Let's take a look at why this is the case. The Pisces 3 and Scorpio Sagittarius relationship is not very stable. These two can mostly only rely on each other for fun and entertainment. There are few topics that are taboo for them, and they are not afraid of challenges. However, it can be hard for them to come back down to earth after flying high. The search for ever new emotional heights can destroy the relationship in the long run. If a marriage ever happens between the two, it is mostly dedicated to the pursuit of pleasure and rarely helps them to achieve self-fulfillment. Next, let's move on to the interaspects of their personal planets. Here we can see a couple of squares and a lot of trines and a sextile, which are rather weak interaspects. But let's take a look at them one by one, focusing on the rather important ones. First, we have a Sun to Moon square here. This is a disharmonious but not a seriously conflicting interaspect. It indicates difference in temperament between power and domestic urges. The Sun person, in this case Kurt, will seem inconsiderate to the Moon person, in this case Goldie, without intending to. This can usually be fixed if both of them desire and focus on harmony. Then we have a Mercury to Moon square, which is another disharmonious but not seriously conflicting interaspect. This square indicates difficulties in understanding each other. The Moon person, Goldie, will sometimes misinterpret words and gestures of Mercury, Kurt. Mercury, on the other hand, might be impatient if Moon doesn't immediately grasp his thoughts. Again, if cooperation is sincerely desired, this is not a too problematic interaspect in a synastry. Moreover, it can be offset by this Venus to Moon sextile and this Venus to Moon trine that could act like a double whammy and diffuse the square inter-aspect even more so. As we were talking about Venus to Moon inter-aspects, let's check these out next. So here we have a Moon to Venus trine and we also have a Venus to Moon sextile inter-aspect. These inter-aspects indicate harmony, sympathy and consideration for each other. They encourage the calming and soothing of each other. These are therefore very beneficial aspects in love and marriage. And since you have beneficial inter-aspects both ways, here and here, these act like a double whammy, strengthening the effect even more. Next, we have a Mercury to Sun trine, which indicates good mental understanding and common interests. With this inter-aspect, agreements and collaboration are easy to attain. However, this Sun to Mercury square over here indicates the exact opposite of what I've just said. This inter-aspect indicates conflicting interests and ideas. The Mercury individual, in this case Goldie, will seem evasive towards the Sun individual, in this case Kurt. And the Sun person will tend to ignore the ideas of the Mercury person. Finally, let's take a look at their lunar nodes, which stand for their purpose or life path. Kurt's karmic path is the way of devotion, which is about following their heart and to find a cause or principle they can fully devote themselves to. Goldie's karmic path is the way of enchantment, which is about releasing their need to be overly self-protective by joyfully reaching out to those around them. When looking for life path support, we are looking for conjunctions and oppositions, of which there is one over here in form of a Uranus to lunar node conjunction. So it seems that Kurt at least can somewhat give Goldie the feeling of supporting her on her karmic path. This is not the case the other way around. Now that we looked at the synastry, it's time to get the rating of this relationship from our matching logic. So I entered the birth data of Kurt and Goldie into Astro Matcher, and here comes the result. We have an average attraction score of 52, just like an average emotional compatibility of 52. Mental agreement is good with 74, and endurability is quite below average with 36 points. Life path support is weak with 26 points, and children's suitability is above average with 61 points. And the overall match score is 47 from 100, which is an average score for a long-term romantic relationship. So in the end, I wouldn't recommend a long-term relationship for these two. But since they have now been together for over 40 years, which is quite an accomplishment, they seem to have found a way to deal with their difficulties. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you want to get informed when we upload new couple matching videos, you can subscribe to the channel. You can also post comments down below to suggest couples whose relationship we should check out next. See you in the next video.